We are going to be talking to a pastry chef. That's right, an award-winning person. Wait till you see these delectable, delicious, delightful designs that he's created on his own. It is Michael Guasta. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm great.
And you are just pure sugar,
Exactly.
sweetness personified.
Hmm.
You have an artistry about you that was bubbling up for you in a while, for a while, like
Yeah.
as a young child. But then you watched a show about cakes, and it changed your life.
Yeah.
Okay, let's walk back to that.
So as a kid, I always liked to draw and sketch, and I never thought anything of it, but I wanted to pursue it. And I would tell my mom, I want to work for Disney World. I want to draw the movies. And she would always say, no, 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 no. She's like, it doesn't pay the bills. Find something better. You're going to be an accountant. I'm like, I don't want to be an accountant. She's like, the numbers come easy to you. It's good money. Trust me, you're going to be an accountant. I'm like, okay. So after a while, went to college to be an accountant. And I came home one day from work, and I'm cooking dinner, trying to cook dinner. And I had TV on in the background of Food Network, and I heard them talking about cakes and all that. And I would just glance over and look, and I would see like this giant cake. And I'm like, well, that's not a cake. And then I just actually stopped cooking, started watching the show, and before you knew it, the show ended, and I was just hooked. These cakes were 3 feet tall. They were on ladders, building them. Wasn't typical buttercream. It was what they called fondant. I
Okay.
had no idea what that was.
You're like, what?
So
What
right
is
away, I
fondant?
had to go to the computer, not the phone at the time, but I went to the computer, Googled what fondant was, and found that they sold it locally, so I wanted to try it and gave
How
it a
can
shot.
you make fondant taste good? See, here's the situation. It sometimes looks good, but then I'll go to a wedding and they'll have a fondant cake, and I'll be like, I'll just like peel the icing off and just eat the cake part,
Correct.
right? How good does your fondant taste? Is it edible?
Yes.
Okay,
My
good.
fondant tastes like marshmallow,
Lovely.
but it's nice and stable so the cake won't, lose its shape during the wedding or the
Okay.
ceremony. You just got to control the sweetness level of it. And I tell people when they come in for tastings, nobody likes the taste of fondant, but to get a certain look, you should use this. And there are certain mediums I can do to enhance your cake. So I would always give them a taste of it. And everybody that comes in says, oh, yours is nice. So, I just kind of
That
take
should
it
be,
for that.
forget
That's all
about
I
pure
need.
sugar as the name of the, oh, yours is nice.
Exactly. Yours
That's a
is
great,
nice. I'm like,
that's a
great.
great
I'll take
tagline.
it. I will take it.
This beautiful doggy.
Yes.
People do groom's cakes now too,
And that's where
right?
this came from.
That's what I was going to say. So explain to us that whole new tradition, because that's fairly new.
So the groom cakes started in the South pretty much.
Okay.
And as it started escalating, a lot more people were getting them. And other bakeries I worked in, they would have the wedding cake and then they would have the groom's cake next to it.
Usually chocolate, usually boring.
Usually something decadent,
Right.
whatever the groom would like, it's mostly for him. Everybody would tend to go for that cake because the flavors are more appealing, instead of just custard and berries. There was never enough to feed everybody. So I started coming up with the idea of, well, instead of upstaging the wedding cake, tell the bride it's her day, why don't you do the groom's cake at the rehearsal dinner? Because it's a smaller
Oh,
amount of guests, it's a perfect serving size,
Michael, that's
and they
brilliant.
never have desserts for this at the
Right.
rehearsal dinner.
You're right, they
So
don't.
it started picking up. So when they would come in for the tasting, the groom would go to the restroom and the bride would just lean over and be like, hey, I need a groom's cake, football theme, he loves this, that, and they would just throw so much at me, and I'm like, oh, okay, okay. And I would just write it down and then cover it up before he would come back, and then we would talk on the side, and they would be so surprised. And again,
Lovely.
it's their day. Let them have the night before, and then it's all about the bride the next day.
Did you ever name this pup?
Oh, we're going with Oliver.
Oliver.
Just looks
Okay.
like an Oliver.
It does look like an Oliver.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You basically, though, can build anything. Now, this is also
Yeah.
another beautiful cake with florals.
Yes.
So how can you work with florals in a great way as a pastry chef?
Well, you can always do 3D flowers, which you learn how to make sometimes in school or on jobs. I kind of just wanted to take it a step further and do something a little different. So this was actually starting to become a current trend, and I saw it online, and I said, ooh, what is that? I want to try that. I haven't seen that before around here. And I looked up, and it's pressed flowers.
Okay.
So now as I'm thinking, I'm like, well, I want my stuff to be edible. When I Googled up edible pressed flowers, then they started coming up, and I'm like, well, let's just get a bunch and see what I can do. And I just started working with them, and then it just kind of took off. And I used one of my friends as a guinea pig for her wedding. And I remember her coming in for a tasting. We used to work together. And she said, I love your stuff, you know I do, but I want you to wow me.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
Thank you.
Like, you know everything I know. What are we doing here? She's like, I want something current. I want something fun. She's like, just do your thing. I'm like, all right. So I went with like a lime green cake, exactly like this, but 3 tiers, round, gold trim and the pressed flowers just to kind of get a pop of color in. She was crying the day of her wedding, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to make you do that, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. Needed that.
Now, what about everyday pastries? Because I see that you have these like lovely bags, so
Yes.
bags of goodies. So that also could be like a favor, right? You could
Yes.
make smaller little bags too.
Yes, I would do
Okay.
2 in a bag for
Okay.
each guest. Everyone loves an edible favor nowadays.
They do,
You
right?
don't want that, the votive candle or something people aren't going to use, and it's costly after a while. Let's just go with 2 cookies, something they could eat on the way home, and they'll enjoy it.
Well, Michael, for me, sometimes if they already have it out on the table, it's the first thing that will go to and sneak because a lot of times there's a lot of time between the ceremony and then sometimes people don't have cocktail hours. Sometimes they do,
Right.
sometimes they don't. But by the time you get to dinner, or by the time the dinner is served, you might not be eating till like 9 o'clock at night, right? So
Exactly.
then sometimes I'll be like, I'll sneak that little edible favor. I'll be like, okay, one for me, one for you.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it's nice.
Yeah.
A little sneaky snack ahead of time. And what are in your bags? What do you
So
have?
right now, I'm starting to get known for these snickerdoodle biscottis that I make. Never even thought about it. Never thought it would get to the level that they're at right now. The day before I was opening my shop, I needed another cookie to add into the mix. I like odd numbers, and I had 6, and I'm like, no, I need a 7th one. And the sous chef and I were going over, and my favorite cookie is a snickerdoodle, but it doesn't have a long shelf life.
It doesn't, right?
So my sous chef and I were going back and forth thinking about what we can do, and she's like, you love snickerdoodles, your mom loves snickerdoodles, and she wasn't with us that day I opened up. She was with us in spirit,
Yes.
but she wasn't able to actually physically be there. So once my sous chef said, she's like, why don't we do this for your mom? And I'm like, go with it. Let's play
Wow.
around and see what works. And it just kind of came up, and everybody's been talking about it. They're not so hard, they're not so sweet, they're perfect. And then I would use family members as guinea pigs where they're dipped in white chocolate. And because they're not so hard, my father loves to dunk his cookies. And I brought him home one night and he dunked them and he's like, they're good, but it keeps falling off into the coffee. So I'm like, all right, how can I fix this? Dip them in white chocolate. The chocolate won't
Okay.
melt and it holds the cookie nicely. Brought it
Lovely.
home the next day and he's like, and he just kept eating the cookie, giving me a thumbs up.
What do
And
they
I'm
say?
like, all right, we're good.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
So you created something.
Yes.
I also love the fact that you reinvent it yourself. And I think that's a
Yeah.
really inspirational thing. As we're wrapping up, I just wanted to like highlight that and congratulate you on that. It takes someone very brave to walk away completely from their day job
Yeah.
and to say, okay, now today I'm going to be,
Yeah.
Michael from Pure Sugar, and I'm not looking back.
Yeah.
But congratulations to that.
Thank you.
Is there any piece of advice you would give to someone that is looking to do that, a change of careers, like something that could help propel them?
Don't be afraid. You're
Okay.
always going to be afraid. Me personally, I need that fear. I wake up every morning scared of something. Am I going to get the cake done on time? Is everything going to be okay? I kind of need that fear to drive me. If I don't, things are just too easy and I feel like I'm not productive or things are just going to go wrong. I got to be prepared. So I thrive on that fear. Don't be afraid of the fear. Just manipulate it to work in your favor.
I like that you called me ahead of time too. Was that part of your process so that you wouldn't be afraid when you come to
Yeah.
be here
And
with
I
me?
did a dry run how to get here too, so I
you
wouldn't be
did?
late,
Oh,
It's-
Michael.
That's the
I'm
way
so
I am.
honored by that, and thank you. And I hope this was good. You feel good and happy.
This was great. Do you feel good?
I feel so good. I think
Excellent.
you're an excellent guest. And I also feel good because I know that my whole entire crew, they love tasty treats. And you are so gracious that you brought them sneaky snacks
You
today.
can't go
So
somewhere and not bring anything.
there you go. Sneaky snacks,
Snicky
snickerdoodles.
snacks. There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
And happiness to you on your journey.
You too.
And thanks, Oliver. We hope this brought you some joy. And if you are looking to change a career, if you want to become a pastry chef, anything whatsoever, just give Michael a call. He's going to give you excellent hand holding and a little bit of great advice. Thanks for watching.